Welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, where once again we hope to inject the world with a dose of the Minnesota kindness that it desperately needs. Not Minnesota nice. We're going to talk about that today.
Oh, yeah.
We're back in the basement studio. It's nice and cozy down here. Beautiful day. KCP Studio, Matamidi, Minnesota. We got Steve Brown in the house. Jeff back there. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, everyone.
KG is doing a wild game tonight, so he's not with us. We do have a special guest. And before we give the introduction, you know what? Let's start with the introduction, then I'll throw in my comments.
Okay.
Jeff,
all right,
let's hear it,
go ahead here. So today on the Kindness Chronicles, we're talking about something every school, every workplace, and every community needs more of: good character. Our guest, Joe Cavanaugh, has spent decades helping young people discover that courage, respect, and kindness aren't just nice ideas. They're choices we make every day. Joe is the founder of Youth Frontiers, an organization that served over 2 million students, helping them build stronger school communities through honesty, empathy, and connection. It all started with a simple belief: if we teach young people how to treat one another with dignity, we don't just change a classroom, we change a culture. So with that, please welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, Joe Cavanaugh. Welcome, Joe.
Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. It's a huge crowd.
It's a huge crowd. It's bigger than usual, actually.
You squeeze them in.
Before we start peppering Joe Cavanaugh with questions, I just have a couple comments about Joe. I have been an admirer of Joe Cavanaugh and Youth Frontiers for many, many years. He would be, in my opinion, the godfather of kindness in at least the Twin Cities and maybe beyond. And I mean that sincerely. I was first introduced to Joe by a friend of ours, a friend of the podcast, Dr. Dave Walsh. Dave ran he's one of the greats from the National Institute on Media and the Family. One of my dear friends, Duke Zurich, who we've talked about Duke in the past. Duke served on the Youth Frontiers board for a number of years until I think you booted him off because he was around for too long. But it's truly an honor to have you in studio. You drove all the way to Matamidi from, I don't know, from Victoria. We have the Marcom Madison back here who doesn't want to be part of the podcast because I've only been there for 2 months. But she's very fashion forward, and we're very excited about that. We, on the other hand, not fashion forward. Joe Cavanaugh, we don't need to be.
Because you guys are so good looking.
There is that. I disagree if I could.
And I drove all the way from a small community called Edina.
Good for you. That's our standard response to you, Edina cake eater people. So this is the Kindness Chronicles. So we started with
kind of nasty,
kind of strong.
That's how it always is.
It's just an initiation,
I love it.
Joe.
Joe, welcome. So great to have you here.
It's a privilege and an honor to be here.
Well, we'll see how you feel by the end of this. But first of all, one of our regular listeners, Marty Rathmanner, who's been a guest on the program. Marty is a friend of yours, Marty and Joe.
And his amazing wife, Joe.
Well, she's the better half.
She's the better 7/8. She worked with us at Youth Frontiers for many years in the late 90s and within the late 90s.
Yeah, she's terrific. You might remember her from Channel 5 News. She was a meteorologist, Joe Bender. And she married Marty Rathmanner, and they are neighbors of ours and lovely people. So there is a little shout out to our friend Marty. Hi, Marty. I'm sure I'll be hearing from
He comes up often.
I know, we love the guy.
I want to have that guy on. We're going to talk to him here.
Well, Marty knows, but Joe, there were few people that I've worked with as amazing as Joe in front of a room of 250 ninth graders.
Oh, yeah.
Her talent,
not
her
easy.
speaking ability, her
It's
presence.
a tough crowd.
Tough and impossible crowd, but she was able to hold them in the palm of her hands with her gift. It was amazing.
Well, let's start at the very beginning. Where did Youth Frontiers come from?
Well,
for starters, who are you? And are you from Minnesota?
Grew up in the Twin Cities.
I saw you may have gone to St. John's.
I'm a proud alum of St. John's University.
Okay. Parents didn't love you enough to send you to St. Thomas. That's okay.
They wanted me to go there, but I just
I know.
I couldn't. I didn't get
I
in.
know. You wanted to go to college, Phil. Understood.
I didn't. Grew up in the Twin Cities. I hopefully will be quite a while from today, but I'll die in the Twin Cities. It's my home.
Terrific.
Home is not only where the heart is, but it's where I've planted my feet. And my family.
And Edina worked out for you.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
We were welcomed back into Edina. I've grown up here. I built relationships with amazing people. My mentors are all from here. They helped guide me in life. After I went to St. John's University, I was a humanities philosophy student there. Taught me about meaning, community, purpose, values, character, which is what Youth Frontiers is about.
You bet.
I became a youth worker in the Twin Cities at a church, and that became my passion of working with young people. I started Youth Frontiers in 1987, almost 40 years ago. It was me for about 7 years. It was, I'd say yes to everything just because I needed to put bread on the table.
Sure.
Yeah.
PBS caught wind of us in the early 90s.
Okay.
Did an hour-and-a-half special on our work, and it just started to take off from there. When Columbine happened in 1999, that was really the 9/11, if you want to think of it that way, for parents and for educators in schools.
Wow. Yeah.
And we had been in business for about 13 years, and we were ready to respond.
It was like a wake-up call for youth, issues with youth.
Absolutely, especially in schools. And the timing was right because we had developed programming. We had developed retreats, which I'll talk a little bit about, a retreat on kindness for elementary schools, a retreat on courage for middle schools, the perfect value for that age group.
Love that.
They didn't want to hear, a seventh grader didn't want to hear about kindness.
Yeah.
Here, come over here. I'll be kind to you. No, let's talk about courage. Oh, let's talk about courage. The courage to be kind. It's a different way of looking at it. Then when they hit high school, we focused on respect and the whole concept of respect, respecting yourself at that adolescent age. That's one of the, looking in the mirror, it's one of the most difficult things for them to do is to respect themselves. Respecting others. Stop being a jerk. Standing up for respect. And that's what our respect retreats are about. How do we get the vast majority of kids in a school to stand up and say, no, this is not the way we want to be. This is not the way we want our school to be. And so we have these targeted retreats around targeted values. We use some of the developmental work of Adler and some of the other psychologists to look at what is the best approach with different student and age groups. And that's been kind of our path.
As you were saying that, I was just thinking that there's some sophisticated psychological planning for that based on ages, and that's pretty.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just like, hey, we should talk to
they
kids.
didn't just throw this
no,
together.
it's
Steve.
really, obviously.
This has been, cultivated over many years.
Yeah, very cool.
You mentioned your mentors, the people that helped you. Who would you say are on the Mount Rushmore of your mentors?
On my 50th birthday, my wife said to me, "What would you like? You want a big surprise party? Do you want to? do you want to have a shindig?" I said, "No. You know what? I want my mentors to come over to our cottage for lunch." And
that's cool.
So I sat around the lunch table and with these icons in my life, and we talked. And a couple of them live around the country, and so they weren't able to make it in town. But it was just one of the more special moments of my life.
How did you connect with these people?
Well, I've stayed connected with them over the years.
Okay. But where did you, can you mention a name for us, Joe?
Sure. One who is still living and still a mentor of mine is Dick McFarland. He was do you know Dick?
I do.
Well,
RBC guy?
RBC guy.
Yeah.
He was the CEO there.
He was on your board, wasn't he?
His son was on our board.
Okay.
But Dick has been a mentor throughout my life. Each of these individuals had there's a picture of all of them up on the wall. My
love
wife
it.
put together a big frame with all the different photos of them. And each one of them, I've assigned a value that they've taught me.
Okay.
And so my father is on that wall. He passed away a number of years ago, but his was generosity. Dick McFarland's was passion. A few people I've met more passionate.
He might
than
check
Dick.
the generosity box as well.
He does check the generosity box. That very much so. But his one, just his passion for life.
Sure.
I just want to be that way. When he was 80, he burst into our office once, and he had a duster jacket on and a cowboy hat, and he said, "I'm heading to Colorado to ski. What are you young whippersnappers doing?" And it was just that's Dick McFarland.
Very
So
cool.
I've had a lot of amazing mentors. The two most important ones today are actually my wife and my daughter. They're my.
You know what? Ding, ding, ding. That's well done, Joe.
I have to check that box so I can go.
Very
home
smart.
and
Very
welcome
smart.
me home with a good meal for dinner.
No, but it really is. It's if you are fortunate enough to marry well, and have kids that pay attention to what's going on around them, it truly is a blessing. And
absolutely.
like my mother always says about her grandchildren, not a dud in the bunch. And but it takes work. It takes work to mentor those people, and you're lucky that you had mentors that help get you there. You got something back there, Jeff?
I do. So, Joe, you started this back in the 80s. That was sort of my grad year was 88. How have schools changed over the years that you've seen? Because I'll tell you, when I became familiar with just the concept of character, it was in a book by Stephen Covey. He did his thesis on the 200 years of American literature, success literature, and he noticed there was a contrast between the first 150 years. Everything was about integrity, working on your internal character. And then he saw the last 50 years of his study, it was all about what he called the personality ethic, the quick fixes and things. And I can't help but notice when I get on YouTube or something, an ad will pop up and it's all about techniques and don't say this isn't the power word. And I immediately think back to the personality ethic and how have things changed that you've seen in the 80s. And maybe we can kind of segue into just your definition of character and why it's so important.
John O'Doherty, I should say Mr. O'Doherty. He was my English teacher in high school. He was larger than life. People on the
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Edina High School.
Okay. Oh, God.
Of course.
Don't do it, John. Don't do it.
Do it again. Do it again.
No.
But Mr. O'Doherty would grab you by the shoulder when you would be walking by in a day during the time when you could grab people by the shoulders. And he would say to me, "Cavanaugh, I'm watching you." And he was watching me. He was watching everyone.
Yep. Because he cared.
He cared, but his passion was for character. And he was the teacher at a pep fest that if we were doing a skit or something that was making fun of some group or some person, he was the teacher that would stand up in the bleachers in his booming voice and say, "Cut it out. What are you doing? You're making fun of someone." And people would kind of snicker and laugh. But he stood for something.
You bet.
When we would walk out of his classroom, he would say, "Be good." Who says that anymore?
Yeah.
We say, feel good. We want you to feel good. We want you to achieve. We want you to be the best. But to the Stephen Covey point, not many people say, be good. And that has been a big shift. And if I did something wrong in school, misbehaved in some way, and Mr. O'Doherty called home, my parents would be waiting at the front door, sending me back to school to apologize to whoever I did it. What happens today is the parents, perhaps well-intentioned, I say perhaps now, not just assuming well-intentioned, but become the defender of the child versus the ally of the fellow adults in the community. And Mr. O'Doherty, or the teachers in our school, Miss Irk, all the different teachers, they were in cahoots and alignment with the parents, and vice versa. But now it's almost parents become the defenders or the aggressors in support of their young people, and that's done great damage, I believe, to young people. We have a parent academy that we've developed in the last couple of years.
Oh boy, is that a good idea!
it's been one of the most powerful things that
I
we have
bet.
created. But one of the pieces in it, we have 3 components, just very quickly. We need to raise strong, not fragile, responsible, not self-absorbed, narcissistic, selfish, and we need to raise young people that know they're precious, not perfect. Or you can say it, we need to love our kids, not worship them. And what we have done in the last 10, 15 years is flip that. We've created the data, if you believe in data, the data is overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
We've created the most fragile, selfish, obsessed with perfection generation in 1,000 years. I just made that number up.
And ladies
high
and gentlemen,
anxiety.
that's exactly why we have Joe Cavanaugh
Yeah.
on the program.
Well-
What's interesting, Joe, is and I think the necessity of what your organization does and what your people do has really, it's become more necessary as time has gone on. And I think that the fact that you are able to get into schools, there are very few organizations that are welcomed into schools to present their program. The fact that you've built this brand and you've had the success that you've had, there aren't many people that are able to have the access that you guys have. So that's something that's, hats off to you for starting it when you did, because if you were starting it right now,
There's no way
good,
it would.
no, it
There's
wouldn't.
no way it would have happened.
It would let you in.
So there's timing. Timing is everything. There's accidents that shifts a lot in life. So we built it at a time when you could walk into a school and schools were open up to trying things, and they were free enough to let's do this, let's do that. There wasn't the commitment or borderline obsession with academic performance.
Yep. Chasing a number.
Chasing the numbers. And so we were able to develop these retreats, at the same time develop a reputation. So schools would invite us in. It was all word of mouth. It was not marketing. It was all word of mouth. And the only person a principal trusts is not the brochure, not the slick ad that they see whenever. It's other principals. And so if a principal says, you got to bring these people in, they're great. They don't listen to me. I'm trying to sell something. But they do listen to their peers. And word started to spread. The first year, 1987, we did 7 retreats. Second year, we did 15. Third year, we did 30. That first year, I was sitting at my desk. The phone rarely rang. It was often my mom saying, hey, you want to come over, come over for a free dinner? Sure. But it was a slow growth. And it allowed us to make mistakes. It allowed us to learn from mistakes. It allowed us to polish things. The first 7 years, we said yes to everything. Do you do overnight retreats? Yes. Why do we say yes to that? Do you do this? Yes. Do you do this? Do you build skyscrapers? Yes. What's a skyscraper? But we'll do it. When this PBS special ran in 1994, the phone started ringing. We became experts overnight.
Wow.
The real reality is we knew nothing more the day before and the day after. And so that flashbulb, that exposure forced us, challenged us to become experts. And so then we started to weave in some solid psychological underpinnings. We started to develop our retreats that were age appropriate.
Talk about the retreats. How do they work?
Well, the way I describe it is, and this is an old phrase, we prepare kids for the road. We do not prepare the road for kids.
Yeah, that's
So there's a lot of good road
This
workers
guy's
out there.
full of great lines. Holy smokes.
I'll stumble
Must be
over a
that
few of them.
Marcom person
It
over
is-
there.
it is-
Yeah.
it's Madison over there. So there's a lot of good organizations out there that help create roads, but that's not us. We're about providing young people with the tools to walk the path of life, to give them sturdy shoes, because in the path of life, and all of us could share our own stories, life is not easy. And it really doesn't, I grew up in a community of Edina, but I know people in that community that life isn't easy.
Nope.
They might have the cars and this and that and and the jets, and they fly all over. But life brings its own pain. Life brings its own suffering. And I don't want to go off on a tangent, but young people need sturdy shoes and the tools to walk the path of life, because Heraclitus once said 2,000 years ago, I like to quote Heraclitus because it's impressive that I can say the name.
Impressive.
And at St. John's, I was a humanities philosophy major.
I've thrown it out there.
So I can say to people now,
it's finally paying off.
It's paying off. I use the name Heraclitus, said character is destiny. And character is a young person's destiny. It's all of our destiny. It's our community's destiny. It's our nation's destiny. And what we try to do is get young people to see values. So if you're in fifth grade, you get a room of 100 fifth graders together, and they're squirrely, and they're cute, and they're vulnerable, and they're starting to deal with bullying, mean behavior. And we're not it's an interesting, schools used to call us because of their anti-bullying programs. I philosophically and psychologically do not believe in anti-bullying conceptually. It's deficit-based. What we do is we promote kindness. Now, you do that, and bullying evaporates and goes away.
You're so good at this, Joe.
Well, you
it's so good.
when you talk about,
We start a podcast about this.
I know.
well, this is my audition to join you guys. This is more fun than
We'll keep
my
a light
job.
on for
Good,
you, man.
good. I love this. These chairs are comfy.
Keep a seat ready for you. Yeah.
So
Can I just?
Yeah.
We make fun. I make fun of Edina. I make fun of St. Thomas Academy, St. Paul Academy. But in many respects, I would imagine that the pressures of being a kid in Edina and the expectation and the fact that you got people like me that are calling those people cake eaters, it's got to be an extra level.
Yeah, you went to Hill Murray High School. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a good blue collar private school for regular people.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. You went there too.
Just saying.
okay.
Yeah.
But, I would imagine that in some of those communities, it's a completely different level of anxiety that must come with expectations of being an Edina kid or a St. Thomas Academy kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't matter. I have to think this one through.
We don't do that around here. We just talk.
There are different ways of experiencing pain, and some of it can come from lack, and some of it can come from gluttony, and both of them are deadly sins. And I grew up in Edina, so it's my experience. I didn't grow up in a disadvantaged community, a community that's experiencing poverty, of deep want, but there was a spiritual want. There was a want in a different way, and it might have been more psychological in effect. And there's a different type of pressure.
Sure.
So it's now you talk to people in serious deprivation, and they'll say, "Boy, give me that over," and I don't begrudge that or demean that or mean to say that that's not deeply effective, because it is. But where my experience is seeing the wounds of deep pressure, deep expectation, the striving for perfection. And it's interesting. Adlerian psychology says in shoplifting, this might not be what he says, but the interpretation of some of his work, of entitlement comes from two wings, the very, very wealthy and the very, very poor. They come to a Target store or a Best Buy, and they contribute to shoplifting because either I get everything I want and I'm taking anything I want, or I don't get anything I want, so I'm going to take what I want.
Kind of an entitlement.
It's in a strange way, it's the opposite of each other, but they have the same
Same outcomes.
same
that's
outcomes.
for sure.
Even you look at our toxic political extremes in our society. You have the far left and the far right. They are mirror images of each other. They're fundamentalists. They're filled with resentment. They are not about dialogue. They're about monologues. They're about conversion, not conversation. They are self-righteous. They are certain of their truth. Both sides, the extremes. I'm talking about statistically, this comes from Helen Timer's stuff on tribes, I think. It's 8% on the far left, 5% on the far right, controls 76% of all messaging out there. But they're at war with each other. And they use different ideologies, but they're just as pathologically extreme. Nuts. But it's from a psychological standpoint, they will not talk.
So nuts isn't a psychological term
No,
that we
it's
should
not.
be using?
It can be.
I worked on a psych ward once upon a time. We used nuts.
Use nuts a lot.
We used nuts, but that was just very quietly. We talked about Dr. Walsh, Dave Walsh.
Yep.
He had an organization called the National Institute on Media and the Family. And once again, there's an example of a guy that was so ahead of his time.
Yeah.
I remember him talking about the things that he's seeing, for example, in South Korea that haven't made it to us yet. And he was talking about things like the iPhone and the technology that came with the iPhone and social media. Tell me about the role that social media has played in the evolution of your organization, because it's got to become something that's very different than when you started in the late 80s.
So how have schools changed? How have our society changed? How have kids changed? The expert on this is Jonathan Haidt. So if you haven't read the book, if you're a parent or interested in young people, the book, The Anxious Generation, will go far greater into detail and far greater in expertise than what I can share. Mine is more experiential, not academic. Here's what I have seen. First, it affects young men and young women very differently. With girls, it's the social media of the phrase compare and despair. You know, they're looking and they're comparing, and it's unraveling their sense of who they are and their own identity as a human being. And it's they're becoming depressed. Girls that are on social media over 5 hours a day have a significantly greater incidence of depression and anxiety. The average girl is on 5.3 hours a day. So just do the math on that.
Yeah.
With boys, it's more around, so with girls, it's toxic. With boys, it's junk food, but it's becoming more toxic. So what I see with boys, it's gaming, it's online pornography, it's things that are actually
Junk food. I love that
junk
description.
food, but it's unraveling their spirit, their psyche,
Their morality.
It's unraveling their morality.
It's a form of gluttony in and of itself.
It's a form of gluttony. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The damage on both is significant. What it's doing, it's disconnecting kids. You know, the internet is the great connector. It's actually the great disconnector. Loneliness has skyrocketed. 62% of all young people now describe themselves as seriously lonely, quote unquote. That was unheard of when I was in school. There were lonely kids, but not 62% describing themselves as seriously lonely. CDC has now found that 32% of teenagers are not just anxious, they have anxiety disorder. So these are, is it causal? Is it correlative? Who cares? It's doing great damage. Now, people like Jonathan Haidt have a lot more the understanding of this. I just see it in a room.
Sure.
So a real example, our Respect Retreat with ninth graders. We have 250 ninth graders walking in a room. We've been doing this for 39 years. over 2 million kids doing this. A decade ago, maybe it's 15 years now, 250 kids would come in the room. They're tackling each other. They're screaming. They're yelling. The music's blasting. It's like pandemonium in this big gym or the big community center or the large giant room we're in. So these 250 kids come in the room. It's an open room. We have our sound systems there, and our 3 staff are up front waiting for them to start the whole day. It's a day-long retreat. It takes about 10 to 12 minutes to get 250 kids to come up and sit down, and that's a challenge in itself.
Sure.
And even then, they're just going back and forth, and then we go into some pretty darn good stand-up humor from up front, and the kids are laughing, they're high-fiving each other, and we try to get some of the ants in their pants, the energy to dissipate a bit. Small groups, you can't keep them sitting down. They're just running around the room. The games, the activities we do, it's pandemonium. You don't want people to get injured. They're running around so much. During the presentations, so this retreat. It's a retreat. A retreat is stepping back. It's a military term really of stepping back to get a better perspective of the battlefield. Well, we're doing this with kids. We're getting them to step out of their environment in the hallways and in the school to get a better perspective so they can enter back in either kinder in elementary schools, more courageous with doing the right thing, or more respectful in high school.
You almost need to change their whole pattern and just to get them out of that.
You got to get them to
habit.
see differently. This is the interesting shift that we've seen though. A year ago, I was on a retreat and helping lead one. I still do even at my age. Occasionally, I love doing it. These 250 kids come in the room. They're all on their phones. They're silent. Yeah. They're walking in in silence, just on their phones.
Completely disconnected from each other.
Completely disconnected. And by the way, we don't allow cell phones on the retreat once they
Good
get in.
idea.
How about that? Really good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. We ask them, okay, it's time to come forward. They walk to the front like lemmings. Okay, can everyone please sit down? They silently sit down.
Weird.
And then we go into some of our...
Same age group.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same school.
Wow.
This is schools, whatever. And then we go into some of our humor. For 25 years, this stuff killed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. It was funny. And kids would be kind of rolling. No one's laughing.
Oh, no.
No one's laughing. And you guys don't know this, and the listeners don't know this. I can be really funny, but some of my stuff was just like, this stuff is killed, and there's not even.
What is wrong with you people?
Well, here's the thing: young people are afraid to laugh.
Oh boy,
really?
They don't want to look stupid.
Oh,
and
God.
Because someone might be filming it or someone might be posting it, and humor now is shifted. Comedians, Jerry Seinfeld, a lot of these stars, they won't perform in colleges anymore.
Yeah.
Because one, humor involves offense. It
absolutely.
involves
It's my
disturbing.
favorite part of humor.
Right.
Well, but it does. It's why the jester, centuries ago was a requirement for the king, because the jester would insult the king to remind the king or queen, back then it was mostly kings, to remind them that they were human and not God.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a purpose for humor, and we've lost that. So kids aren't laughing anymore. And so
that's wild.
They're in the room. And then when we talk to them in our presentations, whether it's on kindness or courage or respect, they listen. That's the other side of it. They're starved.
Yeah.
Wow.
These kids are starved for messages that 20, 30 years ago you got in our society. The Stephen Covey comment, but they got them at home. They got the connection. The teachers would talk about this. The faith communities would talk about this. The society in its in its water. It was part of the environment, and it's not anymore. And instead of character, it's being a character, or it's
right. They've
it's
changed the definition of what character is and means now. It's now about being a character on a screen.
on a TikTok.
Yeah.
And
YouTube. John, give us a mug.
I don't want to do that.
so these young people are losing these critical things for connection, and then we wonder why anxiety is skyrocketing and depression is skyrocketing and why the suicide rate has doubled in the last 10 years. We are decimating a generation.
So what? Go ahead.
I just have a quick note that kind of goes along with what you were saying, that they're walking in and they're all on their phones. My daughter goes to the U of M. She's in her last year. She says everyone on campus has headphones on. No one is talking on campus. On a college campus full of people in their 20s, dating age, they have earbuds
should be
in,
some of the
and
best times of their life.
they're just walking from class to class. That is creepy, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and there's no dating. You know, by the time I was 22, 23, I had hundreds of girlfriends.
I feel like we've gotten to a very dark place. We have to get some hope from
I want to
Joe.
talk more about the girlfriends.
Scott Galloway, I think, uses the statistic. I might be misquoting this. 42% of young men between 18 and 24 have never approached a woman in
I
person.
heard this too.
Yeah.
That might be the wrong.
No, that sounds
but
right.
It's about 40.
That is scary.
Well, so here's the damage. What do people need is community and connection. And our retreats are breaking down some of the message about the me, the narcissist, the selfishness, and saying the we is as important as the me. Ubuntu, the African term, I am because we are. And so one of the things that we do on our retreats, the hopeful piece on this, is it's about bringing them together, and we are part of a school. Now, the end result of these retreats, we're still seeing the same power, but it takes a lot longer in the day to get there.
But it is interesting that you're saying they are, once you get them, they're open and starving for this information.
Because they're
interesting.
starving for it.
Yeah.
Another positive sign is, so there's a significant uptick right now with Gen Z in a return to spirituality and faith.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that
Heard
too.
that.
Are you seeing that? And millennials don't get that. And a lot of these colleges have millennials in their marketing departments, and they don't understand that colleges need to be promoting not their athletics and their academics and the flashy stuff, the fact that they're creating community, and they're creating a sacred community of people that go deeper than just the stuff that the great meals and the dining halls. It's go deeper into meaning and into purpose, and that's what young people. Those are the things you can stand on, and we've given kids for 15 years. Quicksand to stand on, and let's give them some rocks to stand on.
One of the things that I often joke about is, you know, I'm a Freemason. I'm a member of the Masonic fraternity, and there is a belief that what you're describing is what could save Masonry, because people are looking for places to connect with others,
To belong.
a place to belong, a place to make friendships, a place to, and those just don't organically happen like they used to. People aren't, you hear about liquor sales. You hear about liquor sales. Like, liquor sales are way down because people aren't going to the bar. And if they are going to the bar, they're afraid to I mean, there's so much to it.
Instead.
They're drinking Diet Coke. Thank you for bringing that up, Jeff. I think I've had 30 of them today, but that's okay.
So along with that, exactly what you're saying, I have 20-something kids, and their friends hanging out at our house, and they went out for St. Patrick's Day, and they have a really good group of friends. But I am seeing that a bit of return to spirituality, also a clear attempt to avoid technology. They were talking about it like where somebody has a brick where they can basically block out their time it locks their phone. If they want to unlock the phone, they have to go down to another floor to open it up to use it. So, and also some other people that I know that their kids are going to church. They never really pushed it, and they're just starting to explore that. I think that's part of this whole thing where that generation, it's the Gen Z, they're starting to go, there's got to be something more than this.
I noticed at church.
That's it.
Yeah.
At church this past Sunday, the number of young families that were in there, like the number of babies that were crying, it was almost too much.
Well, yeah.
But, Lino, by the way, was there. We got to get Lino back on the program.
You said that.
Lino.
You know Lino Rulli?
The Catholic guy?
Yeah, John Ferletti, one of my mentors.
Oh,
John is up on my
he's
wall.
good buddies with him.
Father John Ferletti,
Yeah, he has him on the show.
Father John, when I went to St. Thomas, which is that other
Never heard
school,
of it.
it's
good for
it's a
you.
Division I school.
My
God.
father-in-law was the vice president there, Don Leiden.
Really?
Yeah, but he passed away in '82, unfortunately. Too young.
Anyway, Ferlitti,
Father
Ferlitti was so, I mean, what a great guy.
One of my greatest.
Was he St. Olaf?
Yeah, he was at St. Olaf.
That's where him and Lino met. Because
okay.
Lino started working there as the Catholic guy. Lino went to Hill Murray with us. He was a year younger than me, and we've stayed in touch. He went to
Lino's got a little kid
he went to
now.
Yeah, he does. He went to
Such a
St.
cutie.
John's as well.
Yeah.
He went to St. John's?
Yeah.
Oh, look at how good it turned out.
Yeah.
So this is what you're talking about, your connections. That doesn't happen naturally as much anymore. So if you describe our retreat, there's 3 things that our retreats do. Connection, 1, 2, connection, and 3, human connection.
So how do you do that? Like during the retreat?
Well, it's
I'm looking at some of the B-roll here, and it looks like, there's some musicians at the beginning.
Fabulous musicians. Use this term. It's an old dated term. MTV meets Aristotle. It's interactive. It's We Speak Kid. Our retreat staff are some of the most amazing youth professionals I've ever experienced and seen. They're in front of 200 kids for a day. We have music. We have interactive activities and games. We have small groups. We have music again. We have interactive games. We have a small group. It's all this movie. And then we have powerful presentations on values. And then it stops. And then we have another small group. And so they don't have time to be bored.
Yeah.
Everything is about 17 minutes long. And so they don't have to, don't worry, you don't like small groups. Don't worry, in 17 minutes, it's done. You don't like the music? Don't worry. In 17 minutes, you hear a talk. You don't like the talk? Don't worry. In 17 minutes, it's lunch. You don't like lunch? 17 minutes, that's over too.
I have a thought on this too. I imagine it's powerful, just like these kids are watching screens, so they're seeing produced video all the time. Now it's a person in front of them. Just like if you want to maybe compare going to see a film and going to theater. When you go to a theater, that experience is so powerful because it's a person in front of you. It's not, there's lights and all that stuff, but there's something different about a kid listening to someone talking. And if they're very smart and very good at what they do, they're engaging, that goes deeper than a screen where they could just flip it and keep moving. And,
the way I describe our retreats, I could say it this way. They go deep, and you need to be in human connection for it to go deep. People have said, why don't you bring in multimedia stuff? There's so many opportunities. It's like, we're summer camp in 6 hours on a school day in a big room. And we also talk to kids about truth and meaning and values. And
why don't they just roll their eyes? Why don't they go, ugh?
Because they're starved for it.
Good.
And they have been fed such pablum. Young people have been fed such lies. And some of the stuff is well-intentioned, but it actually does the opposite. So we're talking
like sugar cereal?
It's like sugar cereal. And that's not a lie, but it's not good for you. And it's actually, it doesn't really feed the soul.
Right.
Our retreats are really sacred experiences. If anyone ever wants to come watch one, you are more than welcome to be invited.
These kids are on the microphone in front of a candle, and they're sharing. What's happening there?
So we end the retreat after this entire day.
Who's that guy? What's his name?
Todd Moss.
Okay.
Looks
familiar.
There's Dahlia right there. These are some amazing people. So we do this entire day of all this interactive work, and then comes the closing, which we call a campfire. And we get 250 kids, and it can be fifth graders, it can on kindness retreats, it can be seventh graders on courage, ninth graders on respect, sitting in a circle, quietly sitting in a circle. We dim the lights, and I said ninth graders and quiet, seventh grade, that's 250 of them. We put a microphone in the middle, and we ask them to share individually what they took from the day or what they learned from the day. And it's powerful. One of the most, one that just is one that sears in my mind it was an 8th grade courage retreat in a suburb of the Twin Cities. And we put the microphone down in the middle and asked them to share. I was observing the retreat, watching our amazing staff on this particular day, and it was on courage. And we put the microphone down, and you wait for a moment or two. And the first 8th grader that got up walked to the middle of the room. And school, you don't have to work with kids every day of my whole life to know who gets made fun of. This kid gets made fun of. You can just tell. And he says, "My name is Jeff," in the mic. And he says, "I just want everyone to leave me alone. Please just leave me alone. All I ask from everyone is just to leave me alone." Mm-hmm. Okay, he's not asking for kids to be kind to him.
This is the courage retreat.
This is the courage retreat. He's not asking kids to be his friend and invite them to slumber parties. He's just asking to be left alone because of the way
wants
he's
to survive.
Because of the way he's tormented. And he's not being bullied. He's being tormented every day.
Wow.
And we see this stuff. Talk about courage.
Yeah.
The kid that gets made fun of, begging his classmates, please. So we see this stuff. So other kids got up to share other things. About 10 to 15 kids later, the coolest kid in the school gets up. And you don't, again, have to work with kids every day to know who the coolest kid is. This kid has his hat kind of at an angle, and he's kind of swagger up the front. He's smoking a cigarette, and I'm just kidding. He's not. That was a joke. It was a non-smoking school.
It was so cool that it looked like he was.
Most schools are non-smoking schools right now.
Really? Are they now? Yeah. Because they've learned. I think I've heard that
there's something bad about smoking. I don't know.
Actually, the sad thing is there's an uptick now in vaping and stuff. That's a different. But he picks up the microphone, and he turns and looks right to Jeff, this kid. And he says, "Jeff, I'm the meanest kid in the school to you.
Wow.
And I want to tell you I'm sorry."
Oh, my God.
And then he says, "And I want to tell you on this day, it stops."
Oh.
And he puts the microphone down. Okay, the coolest kid in the school being big enough to be small enough to say,
"Wow,
I'm sorry."
Okay.
Well, then
you can't make that.
How'd you get into that spot? That's amazing.
Then
get it together,
about
Steve.
10 kids.
That's very sweet.
It's
powerful,
it's sacred.
Yeah.
And then about 10 other kids get up. All guys. Doesn't have to be guys. Because have you heard of the Mean Girl syndrome? But these 10 guys apologized to Jeff. Now I'm watching this, and we see this stuff all the time.
Do you really?
Yeah, we see it all the time.
It's playground dynamics.
Talk about
what I didn't,
oxytocin.
So here's the thing, what I didn't see, what I've never seen happen next. You see, while I was observing our amazing staff and these 8th graders, 200 8th graders in this powerful closing campfire, we call it the campfire. There was a woman against the wall about 5 feet from me that throughout this whole time was silently sobbing. And I thought it was one of Jeff's teachers. It was his mom.
Oh, boy.
What's she doing in there?
His mom thought that this day would be even more tormenting.
Oh, my gosh.
And had to be there
Support.
to rescue, to get his kid out, to get her kid out if it went south. And when she found out who I was, because I just was talking, are you one of the teachers here? She goes, I'm Jeff's mom. And I was like, she hugs me and she says, you will never know what this day did for me. You know, so we're like, okay, a kid's getting bullied. It affects that kid and it affects other kids. It affects the community. When anyone is disrespected or tormented, the whole community suffers. And that is something that I don't think people, I think they intellectually get it, but I don't think we as a society deeply understand it in our core. And with this breakdown in our society of character, and, you know, the left points at one thing and the right points at the other, but it's a whole societal issue.
We're gonna have this for adults too. Joe.
Well, we've started. You know, we in the pandemic. We went from 900 retreats a year, about 8, 9, 10 a day. Our teams are driving all around the Midwest. We have an office in Omaha, an office in Milwaukee, it's headquarters here. We went from 900 to 4 for 2 years, 4 retreats. Because we do large group gatherings, strike 1.
Super spreaders.
We do them in schools, strike 2. We're 0-2 in the count. We decided to invent new things. So we invented this parent academy. We invented programs for Gen Z and youth groups and colleges and, you know, onboarding in businesses and corporations with 22, 23-year-olds. We've created our Geometry of a Leader program for community leaders in the faith community, nonprofit, business, corporate, healthcare, education community. So we're doing this work now with adults. I'm going to be I lead them and personally with a couple of our other older staff, and we focus again on character. We talk about how do we humanize our environment, being present to human beings in a dehumanized world where you're just looking at your phone, like on the college campuses. We focus on humility as leaders, maybe the greatest leadership trait needed today, meaning I need others. I don't see it all. I don't have a monopoly on the truth. I am not God. I'm human, humility. And then courage, the courage to pursue the vision despite the cost. And leaders, we need to step up and lead for the sake of our children, for the sake of the next generation. And one of my biggest concerns is the cowardice of leaders today in our society. And who suffers? Not us, not us in this room. We're doing fine, thank you very much. I go home to my house and
Any diner.
Yeah. But you know, who's suffering? The kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we don't get our character act in order, it's a bad trajectory.
So I always am curious about the economics of an organization. You know, I went through your website, and
it's a beautiful website.
Beautiful website.
And beautiful production for
By
all
the way,
the video production.
A lot of staff.
Youthfrontiers.org. We'll put it up on the screen.
But
it's a great site.
How does this get paid for?
So we're a nonprofit. We've created a business nonprofit model. So very early, I was thinking people would flood in 1987, flood to support this new idea. My mom and dad gave a little bit of money. A few of my mentors gave a little money. I was like, that's it? This isn't going to pay for anything. I started to create it as a business. So I charged a fee. I learned after 2 years, you don't negotiate fees because we won't tell anyone if you give a discount. Hey, Joe gave us a discount if you ask him. So it was like we're a business. We charged a fee. It was about a 50
expenses. 50,
we have expenses. As we grew, our expenses grew. We're about a $5 million company, nonprofit, which ironically, I was surprised. I was doing some research on that. We're in the top 5% of nonprofits in the country,
That's
Wow.
awesome.
business-wise. People think of the YMCA, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Scouts, Make-A-Wish, but most nonprofits are very small.
Yep.
50% are under $100,000.
Yep.
Very few, 80% are under $1 million. There are very few that are over $2 million. So the business model is we charge a fee, but we don't charge what it
Costs.
costs.
Yep.
So unbelievably generous donors support us. And so about 80% of our fundraise, we have to raise about $2.5 million a
Okay.
year. And then our revenues are, I'm not a finance guy, so our finance
You have
person may go,
people for
Joe,
that.
Joe, you are so wrong on that. But let's just say we're about
Just throw numbers out.
half
That's what I
fees.
like to do.
half of our revenue is from donors, half is from the fees that we charge.
Okay.
And can I ask the donors, lots of corporate support, or is it mostly individuals?
80% individuals.
Really?
We're very relational based.
Absolutely.
So we have about an
Makes
80% rebook with schools. So once we get into a school, it's rare that now if the principal leaves and a new principal comes in, we have to rebuild the relationship. If the school is combining, but typically once we get into a school, we get brought back.
which is remarkable because budgets get tight.
Yeah, budgets get tight.
But the schools recognize the importance of what you're doing, which
They have
again
to,
is very rare.
Yeah.
You know, they're constantly cutting, and the fact that schools will continue to put an emphasis or make this a priority
I'd like
has
to
gotta
hear.
make you feel really good.
You told a great story about Jeff and his mom. I imagine you have schools that rebook you because the teachers probably see a significant shift in kids. Is there a difference in behavior and all the stupid stuff that kids get into? I imagine.
So about 15 years ago, we worked with the University of Minnesota, the Carey Center, to do some actual research on what's the longitudinal impact.
Yeah.
And I should be able to rattle off the data, but the increase in acts of courage, the decrease in bullying, the kids at the end of our retreat make a commitment to either kindness, if it's 5th grade, courage, active courage, if it's 7th grade, middle school, a commitment to respect, if it's high school. And they were researching how much do you continue with that? We've studied it for about 30 days later, and there was some pretty interesting significance on that. I don't think that's necessarily the reason why schools bring us back. I think it's typically they see the power of 200 kids in a room apologizing.
Oh.
You can't.
Yeah. How do you
measure that?
Yeah.
Well, there's never that opportunity in regular school.
No, they don't.
You guys set that up.
Yeah, the tone tone doesn't exist in the real world.
The other thing is we don't allow cell phones in the room, so we don't.
They're paying attention.
We can't underestimate the damage that phones have done. And last year, we sent a plea to superintendents and principals to get the phones out of the schools.
Yeah.
And the response is, well, we decided we're getting it out of the classrooms. Oh, so the most important socialization time, the hallways
In
and the
between,
lunchroom, you're allowing them. Let's show some courage. And we know the data.
Right.
We know what is the right thing to do
And
for
there are
kids.
schools that are doing it. Hill Murray does
It's
it.
going to go that way. You know it.
We
Yeah.
chose a school. My wife and I, when my daughter was in 7th grade, I walk in schools a lot. One of the schools I was walking in, it was visitation, all girl Catholic school. Every girl that walked past me in the school looked me in the eye and said hi. And I was like, this is weird.
We're going here.
This is weird.
It's going to be 30
So-
grand a year, but we're going here.
Yeah, that's
But I popped my head into the head of the school and I said, at the time it was Dr. Nichols, Don Nichols. I said, I got to tell you, we love working with your school. It's one of the hundreds and hundreds of schools we work with. Most of our schools are public schools, interesting enough, but neither here nor there.
No,
It's
but I
like,
think
we
that's more than here than that.
Well, because you know
that's
what?
important.
Because a lot of private schools, Catholic schools, faith-based schools, they do retreat stuff,
character stuff.
character stuff.
Yeah.
It's part of the military. And public schools are leaning into it more. And so we are a great fit into
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
And but they don't have retreat directors in their school.
Sure.
So who are you going to bring? Call in Ghostbusters. That's us, Youth
Right.
Frontiers. It's an old movie. And so we come in and we do the stuff that maybe the teachers don't have the time to. The teachers are so stressed. And we come in, don't worry, we got everything covered.
Yeah.
And except for lunch. And so that's where the impact. So I said to the head of the school, I said, I got to tell you, Dr. Nichols, every single kid that walked past me in the hallway looked me in the eye and smiled or said hi. And she looks up from her desk. She goes, we don't allow cell phones in this school. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So my daughter looked at the school, and we're on the other side of town from that. And she came back and she goes, I want to go here.
Wow.
For her.
Because she sees the interaction with people and the connection. And so two things. Principals will usually say, you know what, my biggest obstacle is not the kids. It's the parents.
Mm-hmm.
The parents have got to reach their kid in an emergency.
Helicopters.
Yeah.
Well, it's our parent academy. We'll be talking now about it, snowplow parenting.
Yeah.
Helicopter parenting was 10,
That's
20 years
old.
ago. That's old.
Remove all the
That's where if your
barriers.
kid fell down, we picked them up. Now we don't even let them fall down.
Bumpers. Yeah.
Yeah, and the damage done is even greater on kids. But so get the phones out of the schools, not just out of the classrooms, out of the schools. The second thing, my wife says, don't go on the rant, but in our parent academy,
Go.
in our parent
Go.
academy, I go on the rant in the parent academy. Get the phones out of the kids' bedrooms. I'm telling parents, and I'm in my 60s, so I don't care if parents like me. But I do care if what they're doing makes a difference in kids' lives. If you're a parent and you allow an internet-connected device, a cell phone, with everything we know now, I'm not going to look back 10 years because we didn't know. But now, with everything we know, you let a phone in the bedroom, you are an irresponsible parent,
Yeah.
period. And they stare at me, and I go, and I mean it. That's a David Walsh. He knew this way before his time. You know, we got his book on Say No.
Oh, yeah.
And
That the bowling guy?
No, say
that's-
no. Dave,
Dave Walsh, yeah.
David
Okay.
Walsh, yeah. So
Well, and you
get the
just
phone
have
out
to
of
look at
schools
the-
and the bedrooms.
And the Silicon Valley CEOs don't let their
don't let
kids.
'em.
They know.
I wonder why.
Exactly. They know. They know. So that's a great piece of advice. That was going to be a question I wanted to ask. What would you share with our listeners? And you already covered.
Well, that's pretty blunt. Ask the principals to get them out of the schools. It will give them the cover, and then get them out of the kids' bedrooms. You know, there's other places in the house they can use them. My daughter's gotten. She's 20 years old now. She's gotten rid of all social media. Doesn't do any social media. And people are like, what? And she was home for school last weekend, and we were kind of dictatorial about no phones in the bedrooms because we knew better. We were older parents. I was 48. Jane was 44 when we became parents, and I also saw the damage done because I was old and I'm in the biz, and I was kind of like the Silicon Valley people. They know, and so Tess could sit at the top of the stairs and be on her phone, but once she crossed the threshold of her doorway, the other night, she's 20. She was sitting on the top of the stairs talking.
Habit.
I
Yeah.
love it.
We had our kids unplug, and drop their phones every night for a while, and then we also had no technology Tuesdays that we tried to do, because that means we had to do the same, and it worked for a while. It was more about keeping awareness.
Yeah.
We didn't do the best all the time, but we tried. You know, we had things that we drew a line in the sand, like we got to try, everybody. We got to
It's
try.
the effort. You're not going to do it perfectly.
They saw that it wasn't a good thing for all of us, and we all tried. But
let me tell you what we
still.
did. We bribed our children.
Oh,
We had no screen summer. And if they
What?
got through the only thing that they could watch was the news. So, and I'm not kidding you. We offered them $1,000 if they could get through the summer with no screens, and they did. And then the next summer they're like, "Let's do it again." But
where's
what's
up
really
to
funny?
10?
What's really funny is Ben, the middle child, became such an expert on current events. We were at a birthday party, and he started talking about Kosovo or something like that. And it's like, what are you talking about? So I got to tell you, we would love to have you in here more often. This is
No kidding.
we've had 194
He's a source.
shows.
He's a source
You
guy.
are a source guy.
Yeah.
He's been
Sincerely.
doing this
And I
way
was
longer
doing
than we
some
even thought
math.
about it.
You're 68 years old.
No,
You're
67.
67.
Don't age
You
me.
look fantastic.
I look 65.
You're
or
not a
66.
no. All sincerity.
People say you only look 66 and a half. No, I'm 67.
You started having kids at 48. That's
It
amazing.
is.
Jane and I, we parented like grandparents. So, and what was what I mean
Well,
by
you
that is
probably
when we were
felt
30,
like grandparents
we
trying to
felt
chase
like
them
our daughter when she was like 7. She said, "I wish you guys were younger," and I go, "So do we." But at 30, everything mattered. Everything mattered as a parent. At 48, hardly anything matters. But what matters really matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's a grandparent thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of the way we raised Tess. There are 3 things that matter, Tess.
What does her future look like? What does she want to do?
She is a economic theology double major.
Oh boy.
So she has this yin and yang. She has a passion for the Spanish language, and she wants to work maybe internationally with a nonprofit in a Spanish-speaking country.
Muy bien.
What does that mean? So my wife and daughter speak Spanish fluently, and they use it when they don't want me to understand a word they're
Absolutely.
saying.
For sure. Smart.
They speak at most dinners in Spanish, so I don't understand a thing they're saying.
Funny.
Well, I just want to thank you for the time, Madison. Thank you for your participation tonight. Did a terrific
Can
job.
I do a quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're a parent, connect us with your kid's school.
You bet.
We'd love to work with the schools. We're coming back in a tear after the pandemic, and the need is
Good.
greater than ever. If you ever want to come to one of our parent academies, check out our website.
You have a leadership luncheon coming up.
Leadership
on May.
luncheon in May. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
May
All
15th.
that is on our website. If anyone knows that's listening, a person named Mackenzie Bezos, please tell them to look us up.
She's giving it away, man.
And most importantly, the most important thing I can say to anyone listening to this, for our children's sake, let us all as adults live lives of character. That's the most important thing I can say.
Amen to that.
The old version of character,
Yeah.
not the new version of character.
Inside out.
Absolutely.
Inside out.
Off we go.